The vast palace of Queen Lysera towered over the crystalline city of Virelia, its spires shining under the twin suns. Every surface gleamed with careful polish, reflecting the elegant designs of Virelian culture. The air hummed with the quiet energy of advanced technology, and disciplined servants moving like clockwork. Visitors rarely crossed into this world without ceremony, and the alien court, known for its strict customs, was rarely surprised. That day, however, was different. Captain Marcus Hale, a human soldier from Earth, stepped off the sleek starship onto the palace platform. He carried nothing more than a small pack, his uniform marked with the insignia of the United Earth Forces. His presence was so unexpected that palace guards froze, unsure if this was a mistake. Humans were rarely allowed such close access. Even ambassadors were cautious, arriving weeks in advance to study the Virelian ways. Marcus did not hesitate. He walked with calm confidence, his eyes scanning the palace and its alien guards. His steps were deliberate, not aggressive, but purposeful. In his mind, he reviewed the protocol he had been taught. Respect their customs, show no fear, but remain honest. He had been trained for hostile planets, dangerous negotiations, and alien encounters. Nothing, he reminded himself, prepared him for the expression of curiosity that now fell upon the alien guards. At the center of the palace, Queen Lysera sat upon her throne, an elegant structure carved from a single block of crystal-like material. Her skin shimmered faintly in shades of blue and violet, and her eyes reflected intelligence far beyond human comprehension. She regarded the human soldier with a mixture of surprise and caution. No one had ever walked into her court unannounced, and certainly no human had ever dared to carry himself with such quiet certainty in front of her. "Who dares enter my court without invitation?" Her voice echoed, melodic but firm. It carried the authority of centuries of rule, and yet there was a trace of curiosity. Marcus raised his hand slightly, a gesture of peace. "My name is Captain Marcus Hale of the United Earth Forces. I come with urgent intelligence that concerns both your species and mine." The court stirred. Murmurs swept through the assembly of Virelian nobles. Humans were unpredictable at the best of times, and Marcus's calm demeanor defied the expectation of fear or aggression. Queen Lysera's eyes narrowed slightly, studying him. "Urgent intelligence? Explain why you assume I would even consider listening to a human soldier." Marcus inclined his head respectfully. "Because the threat I speak of does not distinguish between species, Your Majesty, and because I can prevent disaster before it begins." There was a silence so deep it seemed to hold the palace itself. Queen Lysera's advisors exchanged nervous glances. No human had ever come into the palace claiming to solve problems beyond their comprehension. Many doubted he even understood the stakes. Marcus, however, spoke with certainty, and that certainty carried weight. The Queen's curiosity overcame caution. "Very well, Captain. Speak, but be warned, lies, exaggerations, or foolishness will not be tolerated." Marcus smiled faintly, not arrogance, but confidence born of preparation. "I have information about a faction planning an attack that would destabilize multiple star systems. Their technology is advanced and their motives are complex, but I know their weaknesses. I can help stop them." Virelian whispers erupted among the nobles. A human claiming knowledge of Virelian-level technology. The audacity was almost comical. But Queen Lysera, ever sharp and discerning, caught something in his tone, a certainty, a calm that suggested truth rather than bluff. "Explain this plan," she said, her tone softer, less commanding, as if curiosity had won over authority. Marcus began. He spoke of the rogue faction, outlining their movements, their patterns, and their weaknesses. He avoided complex technical jargon, using simple terms that even untrained eyes could understand. Yet his strategy was precise. He described how a small team could infiltrate their stronghold, exploit weaknesses in their security patterns, and neutralize their threat without massive destruction. As he spoke, Queen Lysera observed more than his words. She noticed how he moved his hands to emphasize points, how he held himself with calm composure despite the eyes of hundreds upon him. She noticed how his strategy relied not only on technology, but on observation, adaptability, and human creativity, qualities she knew were often underestimated. When he finished, the court fell silent again. Even the advisors, usually quick to criticize, found themselves hesitating. "And you expect us to trust a human soldier with such a mission?" one of the Virelian generals asked, his voice tinged with doubt. Marcus met his gaze steadily. Trust is earned, General. I do not ask for blind trust. I ask for a chance to prove results. Queen Lysera leaned forward slightly, her eyes narrowing in thought. A human. And yet he speaks as if he knows our ways, yet still relies on his own instincts. Strange. Perhaps. Interesting. One of her aides whispered to her. Your Majesty, we should reject him outright. This could be dangerous. The Queen waved a delicate hand. Dangerous, yes, but potentially invaluable as well. Let him speak further. Observe him. Humans are unpredictable. Sometimes unpredictability is a strength. Marcus's eyes briefly met the Queen's. There was a flash of recognition, not of kinship, but of mutual understanding. Two leaders assessing one another across the divide of species and culture. The Queen's next decision stunned the court. Captain Hale, you will remain in the palace until I can decide how best to utilize your information. You will be given access to certain areas and advisors. Fail to respect our rules and you will be removed immediately. Marcus inclined his head. I understand, Your Majesty. Thank you for the opportunity. For the rest of the day, Marcus was escorted through the palace, allowed to observe the Varelian technology and strategy discussions. Everywhere he went, he drew attention, not with arrogance, but with the calm assurance of a soldier confident in his abilities. He asked questions that made advisors pause and think, offering insights that were uniquely human, blending logic with creativity. By the evening, Queen Lysera had summoned him again. The throne room was quieter now, the crowds gone, leaving just the Queen and her closest advisors. Marcus stood before her, relaxed but attentive. You surprise me, human, the Queen said softly. Most humans would tremble before the history and power of Varelia. Yet you do not, Marcus smiled faintly. Respect, Your Majesty. I do not fear what I cannot change. I focus on what I can. Lysera studied him. There was something unusual in the way he carried himself. A combination of humility and strength, simplicity and intelligence. Perhaps, she murmured, we have underestimated humans. Perhaps your species has qualities worth more than we imagined. Marcus did not speak immediately. He simply nodded, aware that in her mind a seed of curiosity and trust was forming. That night, as Marcus prepared for rest in the guest quarters, the Queen remained in the throne room, staring at the holomap of the sector. Her thoughts were divided between caution and intrigue. Humans had always been underestimated in interstellar politics. Most aliens considered them fragile, impulsive, or primitive, yet here was a human soldier, unannounced, unafraid, and remarkably competent. Interesting, she whispered to herself, a faint smile on her lips. Perhaps this one will change everything. And somewhere deep in the palace's mechanical veins, systems that monitored and adjusted palace security noted the anomaly. A human soldier who did not fit the patterns of expected behavior. The system flagged him, yet even it seemed impressed. Outside, the twin suns of Varelia dipped below the horizon, painting the crystalline city in shades of gold and violet. Captain Marcus Hale looked out over the city from his quarters, considering the path ahead. He had come alone without reinforcements, relying only on his wits and instincts. The palace, the Queen, the entire court, they were all part of a world far different from Earth. Yet he felt ready. Tomorrow, his real challenge would begin. And though the Varelians did not yet know it, a human soldier had just arrived who would force them to see things differently. The night deepened, but the palace was alive with subtle anticipation. The Queen, the advisors, and the humans, each would soon find their expectations challenged. And in that moment, the first spark of something extraordinary had ignited. The morning light of Varelia streamed through the crystal windows of the palace, scattering beams across the polished floors. Captain Marcus Hale was already awake, reviewing notes and mental maps of the rogue faction he had spoken about the previous day. He had studied their movements, their technology, and their likely strategies. The human mind thrived on analysis, intuition, and adaptability, and Marcus had both in abundance. A soft chime announced the Queen's summons. Marcus straightened, adjusted his uniform, and followed the palisade through corridors lined with shimmering panels and softly humming machinery. The palace seemed alive, almost breathing with the energy of centuries of advanced alien civilization. Every step Marcus took drew subtle glances from palace guards, who were still unsure how to classify this unusual human soldier. Queen Lysera awaited him in the strategy chamber, a circular room dominated by a holographic map of the sector. The map floated in mid-air, displaying fleets, planetary systems, and faint markers of known threats. Lysera's violet eyes focused on Marcus with an intensity that made even seasoned alien commanders uneasy. "Captain Hale," she began, her voice calm but authoritative. "Your information yesterday was intriguing. More than that, it was unusual. You think like a human, yet your logic is adaptable, flexible. Tell me, human, are you ready for a mission most would call impossible?" Marcus inclined his head. "Impossible is not a word humans use lightly, Your Majesty. We prefer improbable, difficult, or dangerous. Impossible usually means someone else hasn't tried yet." Lysera's lips curved slightly. She gestured toward the holographic map. "The faction I spoke of is known as the Kireth. They operate beyond the edge of known systems, using technology that surpasses our most advanced designs. They have defenses, traps, and spies. Entire Varelian teams have failed to infiltrate them. You would be going alone or with minimal support. Are you certain you can succeed?" Marcus studied the map, noticing subtle patterns in the movement of Kireth ships. He tapped on certain nodes, highlighting potential blind spots in their surveillance. "Your Majesty, no defense is perfect. Even advanced technology has weaknesses. They rely on predictability and confidence. That is where humans excel. We observe, adapt, and improvise. If I am given the chance, I can exploit what they do not expect." Lysera's advisors exchanged skeptical glances. Several spoke in rapid alien tones, arguing that a single human soldier could never succeed. "Your Majesty, even the best Varelian agents require squads, fleets, and weeks of preparation. A human cannot match our technology alone," one of the generals protested. Marcus's voice was calm but firm. "Perhaps not, but I can use strategy, timing, and the environment to make technology secondary. Humans have faced worse odds and survived. That is our nature." Lysera studied him carefully. There was a spark of something rare in her violet eyes. Respect. She had always valued strength, intelligence, and courage, but humans had a quality she had underestimated: ingenuity under pressure. "Very well, Captain. I will assign you the task. You will infiltrate the Kireth stronghold, gather intelligence, and neutralize their threat. You may take one assistant of your choosing. No reinforcements beyond that. Fail and the consequences will be severe." Marcus nodded. "I accept, Your Majesty." Lysera leaned back in her crystalline chair. "Good. Then the first step is preparation. You must know their patterns, understand their defenses, and anticipate what they expect from an intruder. Remember this: the Kireth do not think like humans. Their logic is rigid, predictable. That predictability is your weapon." Marcus's eyes gleamed. "Predictability is often a weakness, Your Majesty. I will use it to my advantage." The Queen studied him in silence for a moment, then stood, signaling the end of the meeting. "You leave tomorrow at first light. Be ready." That night, Marcus prepared for the mission. He reviewed his gear: multi-purpose scanners, lightweight weapons, and a few personal gadgets designed to blend with alien technology. He also studied behavioral patterns of Kireth soldiers, their likely patrol routes, and environmental weaknesses. Every step was calculated, but he left room for improvisation, a human's greatest strength. Sleep came briefly, but his mind remained alert. Humans were not easily deterred by fear, and Marcus had learned early in his career that overthinking was the enemy of action. By morning, he was ready. At sunrise, he met with the assistant assigned by the Queen, a Varelian analyst named Riala. Her skin shimmered a soft lavender, and her hair floated like liquid silver in the low gravity of the chamber. She had studied Kireth systems for years and knew their patterns better than most. Still, she looked at Marcus with a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. "You are small," she said, referring not to his size but to his presence. Humans were not imposing physically compared to many alien species. "Do you truly believe you can navigate the Kireth stronghold?" Marcus smiled faintly. "Size doesn't always matter, Riala. Observation, creativity, and timing, that matters. Trust me, if we follow the plan and adapt when needed, we can succeed." Riala hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Very well. But you should know, the Kireth are ruthless. They do not forgive mistakes." "I never make the same mistake twice," Marcus replied, his tone calm. The journey to the Kireth stronghold was tense. Their ship moved silently through the void, bypassing patrols and sensors. Marcus and Riala worked together, combining human intuition with alien data analysis. Marcus suggested alternative paths through asteroid fields, unpredictable maneuvers that the Kireth sensors would likely not expect. Each suggestion raised eyebrows from Riala, yet each proved effective. When they arrived at the edge of the Kireth territory, Marcus activated a stealth protocol, blending the human craft with surrounding space debris. Humans often think creatively about hiding, he explained. Sometimes what is in plain sight is invisible because it is unexpected. Riala studied him with newfound respect. You think differently, she admitted. Most humans are reckless, but you calculate yet remain flexible. Perhaps the Queen was correct to trust you. Marcus nodded. Predictability is dangerous. Unpredictability is a weapon. The first challenge came almost immediately. Kireth patrol drones scanned the area, moving in precise patterns designed to detect intruders. Marcus observed their rhythm, noting slight delays, blind spots, and repetitive cycles. We can move in that window, he whispered. Timing is everything. Riala followed his instructions as they navigated the drones. Each movement was precise, coordinated, yet flexible enough to adapt to unexpected variables. Marcus moved with a quiet confidence that unsettled even his Varelian companion. When they finally reached the stronghold, Marcus studied the entrance. Massive gates layered with force fields and surveillance systems guarded it. Most species would attempt brute force or advanced hacking. Marcus did neither. Instead, he observed, noting patterns in patrol shifts, sensor sweeps, and energy fluctuations. Force is predictable, he muttered. We will be subtle. Using a small device of human design, he created a temporary blind spot in the sensors. Just enough for us to slip through, he explained. Not too long or they will detect it. Riala watched in amazement. You think in ways we never imagined, Marcus smiled faintly. That is the advantage humans bring. We are often underestimated. That underestimation can be powerful. Once inside, the stronghold was a maze of corridors, energy barriers, and silent alarms. Marcus relied on instincts, memory, and careful observation to navigate. He avoided unnecessary conflict, knowing that noise would alert the Kireth. When confronted by a security system too complex to bypass conventionally, he adapted a mirror, a reflective surface, and a simple timing adjustment rendered the barrier temporarily ineffective. Riala could barely believe her eyes. No one has ever done that before, she whispered. Marcus simply shook his head. Expectations are chains. When you break them, opportunity appears. Hours passed, each step a careful balance of observation, timing, and improvisation. Marcus and Riala collected critical intelligence, troop placements, technology schematics, and evidence of Kireth plans. Every moment, Marcus demonstrated a combination of human ingenuity, courage, and adaptability that made Riala increasingly confident. By the time they prepared to exit, Marcus had achieved what Varelian teams had failed to do in months: infiltrate the heart of the enemy stronghold and gather actionable intelligence. Yet he knew the final challenge awaited: the extraction. The Kireth were ruthless, and any mistake could be fatal. As they navigated back through the patrol zones, Marcus paused. Riala, remember this: what they expect of us is their weakness. Do not underestimate your own instincts. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best. She nodded, seeing clearly the truth in his words. Humans, she realized, were unpredictable, adaptable, and daring, qualities that even the most advanced aliens often overlooked. The return journey from the Kireth stronghold was tense. Captain Marcus Hale and Riala had successfully gathered critical intelligence, but the Kireth were not an enemy to forgive mistakes. The rogue faction's sensors were advanced, their patrols relentless, and their understanding of strategy sophisticated. Marcus knew that reaching the palace alive would require the full measure of human ingenuity. The ship glided through the asteroid field near the outer rim of the Kireth sector. Each asteroid cast long shadows, perfect for hiding from enemy drones. Marcus scanned the data readouts carefully, noticing the subtle movement of patrol ships adjusting their patterns in response to unknown intrusions. They've realized someone's been inside, he said quietly. They'll tighten the net. We have to adapt fast. Riala, observing the sensors, frowned. Our path is blocked on 3 sides. The Kireth drones are converging. Most would turn back or fight through the drones. It's almost impossible to escape undetected. Marcus tilted his head thoughtfully. Impossible is relative. Humans rely on observation and creativity. Watch closely. He activated a small device, one that created holographic duplicates of their ship across the field. Multiple decoys moved in slightly different trajectories, drawing the attention of the drones. Marcus steered the real ship along a hidden channel, unseen beneath the asteroid shadows. Riala's eyes widened. Incredible. You think of everything. Marcus smiled faintly. Expectations are chains. Break them and opportunity appears. Even as they maneuvered, the Kireth reacted. Patrol drones changed direction, their sensors scanning for anomalies. Marcus adjusted the holographic signals, adding erratic movements that confused the enemy. One drone fired a warning pulse at a decoy which detonated harmlessly far from the ship. Riala, observing, began to understand the full measure of human unpredictability. "You're unorthodox," she said. No Varelian team would dare such tactics. Marcus shrugged. Sometimes rules are traps. Humans learn to bend them or ignore them entirely. Flexibility is strength. As they neared the edge of the Kireth sector, a massive blockade appeared. 3 enormous ships, armed with weaponry far beyond anything Marcus had encountered before. The Kireth were preparing for full engagement. Riala looked at the readouts in horror. "They'll destroy us if we go through." "It's a death trap." Marcus studied the ships. "Not if we use what they expect against them. Humans often succeed by turning predictability into a weapon. Watch." He manipulated the ship's energy signature, making it appear as if their craft was a small, unarmed scout. The Kireth ships paused, scanning for anomalies. Marcus took the opportunity to guide the ship through a narrow gap between the vessels. Sensors screamed alarms and weapons discharged, but Marcus's precise timing allowed them to slip through the first layer of the blockade. Riala gasped. "You're unbelievable. How do you do this?" Marcus kept his focus. Adaptability, observation, and courage. Humans thrive when challenged. The Kireth expect aggression or stealth. They do not expect cleverness combined with boldness. Suddenly, a Kireth command ship appeared, larger and more advanced than any of the others. Its weapons locked onto their ship, ready to annihilate them instantly. Marcus's mind raced. A direct confrontation would be suicide. He scanned the nearby asteroid field for possibilities. "Riala, gather all Kireth movement data," he said. "We're going to use their own system against them." Working together, Marcus and Riala mapped the drone's firing patterns, predicting each pulse and alignment. Marcus piloted the ship with split-second timing, weaving through laser fire with remarkable precision. He directed the ship behind a massive asteroid, causing the command ship to overshoot their position. Then, using a reflective panel, he bounced a concentrated energy beam from one of the drones back toward the command ship, temporarily disabling its targeting systems. Riala stared, amazed. I've never seen anything like this. Humans truly think differently." Marcus's eyes scanned the final stretch of space leading back to Varelia. Different thinking wins battles most never even attempt. Keep analyzing. There's more yet. The final challenge came when they entered the Kireth home system's gravity field. Automated defense satellites activated, designed to trap any intruder. Marcus noted their predictable rhythm. "We'll ride the gravitational currents," he said. "It's risky, but human timing can make the impossible possible." He adjusted the ship's thrusters to match the flow of the gravity field, slipping past the satellites almost effortlessly. Each movement was precise, calculated, yet flexible enough to account for sudden changes. Riala, now fully trusting Marcus, assisted by rerouting minor sensor signals and creating subtle interferences to mislead the satellites. For hours, they navigated the treacherous system, facing danger at every turn. Yet Marcus's calm confidence, human intuition, and clever use of the environment allowed them to outmaneuver the Kireth forces. Finally, as the twin suns of Varelia began to rise over the horizon of their homeworld, Marcus and Riala cleared the sector and transmitted their gathered intelligence back to the palace. The data contained not only details of the Kireth forces, but also vulnerabilities that could prevent future attacks. Back at the palace, Queen Lysera received the report. She stared at the detailed schematics and intelligence, her violet eyes widening in disbelief. No Varelian team had ever penetrated the Kireth defenses so thoroughly. And the analysis done by a human soldier was flawless. One of her advisors gasped, "Your Majesty, this is unprecedented. A human single-handedly outmaneuvered the Kireth." It seems impossible. Lizara's lips curved into a faint, impressed smile. Impossible, yes, for anyone who underestimates a human. Captain Marcus has done what we could not, what we thought could not be done. Observe not only his actions, but his mind. Meanwhile, Marcus and Riala returned to the palace quietly. No celebration awaited them. Lysera preferred to observe her surprises in private. Marcus, however, felt a quiet satisfaction. Humans were often underestimated, yet here he was, a single human soldier, successfully navigating challenges that had defeated the most advanced alien teams. Riala turned to him. Captain, you are remarkable. I understand now why the Queen trusted you. No one else could have done this. Marcus smiled faintly. Sometimes it's not strength or technology or numbers. Sometimes it's ingenuity, courage, and timing, and the willingness to act when others hesitate. Riala nodded. I've learned a lot today, about humans, and about the way the universe works. Marcus looked toward the horizon, his eyes calm but focused. The Kireth were just the beginning. There's much more to face, but for now, we've proven that humans are capable of far more than anyone imagined. That evening, Queen Lysera summoned Marcus privately. She regarded him with a mixture of admiration and curiosity. Captain Hale, your actions today have exceeded expectations. You relied not on brute force, but on cleverness, observation, and courage. Humans are unpredictable. That unpredictability is dangerous to our enemies, yes, but also inspiring. Marcus bowed slightly. Thank you, Your Majesty. I do what I can. Lysera stepped closer, her eyes gleaming. You have not only completed a mission others would call impossible, you have also changed the way I view your species. Perhaps humans are not so easily underestimated after all. Marcus inclined his head. Underestimating a human is always a mistake. We thrive on challenges others cannot face. The Queen's lips curved into a faint smile. Indeed, and you, Captain, are a testament to that truth. For Marcus, the mission had tested every skill, every instinct, every ounce of human ingenuity. Yet he knew the journey was far from over. The Kireth were only one threat, and countless others waited in the stars. Still he felt a quiet pride, a reassurance that humanity could rise to meet even the most impossible challenges. The palace of Virelia buzzed with quiet anticipation. Queen Lysera's throne room, usually serene and orderly, was filled with advisors, generals, and dignitaries from nearby systems. Word had spread quickly. The human soldier had returned from the Kireth stronghold with critical intelligence and proof of the faction's weaknesses. Yet no one knew exactly how Marcus Hale had achieved what had been deemed impossible. Marcus stood near the entrance, calm and composed, his uniform clean despite days of intense travel and danger. He carried himself with quiet confidence, aware that all eyes were on him. The Virelian nobles murmured among themselves, their whispers laced with skepticism and curiosity. A human, alone, had infiltrated the Kireth stronghold, and now the Queen would see what he had accomplished. Queen Lysera descended from her elevated throne, her violet eyes fixed on Marcus. The soft hum of the palace systems emphasized the tension in the room. Captain Hale, she began, her voice carrying authority and curiosity in equal measure. You have returned. You have seen, you have acted, and yet, the question remains, how did a single human succeed where entire Virelian teams failed? Marcus stepped forward. Your Majesty, the Kireth relied on expectations and predictability. They believed no single soldier could navigate their stronghold, bypass their defenses, and leave without detection. I used that belief against them. A murmur spread through the room. The Queen's advisors exchanged uneasy glances. Humans, they realized, thought differently. Not better, not worse, but differently. And that difference could be dangerous. Marcus gestured toward the holomap in the center of the room. Holographic images of the Kireth stronghold materialized, showing patrol routes, energy barriers, and strategic points. This is their stronghold, he said. These are the patrol patterns. Notice the timing of their drones, almost perfect yet repetitive. Their sensors are advanced, but they assume uniform behavior. That assumption is their weakness. Riala, standing beside him, added, and he exploited it. Captain Hale moved through the stronghold undetected, gathering intelligence that no Virelian team could. He even used their own weapons to create diversions. The nobles gasped. Some shook their heads in disbelief. One of the generals spoke, his voice tinged with awe. He isn't remarkable. No one could have done this, not even the best Varelian strategist, Marcus continued, explaining step by step how he had infiltrated the Kireth stronghold, navigated the deadly corridors, and returned with precise intelligence. Each detail showcased not only his bravery, but also the creativity and ingenuity that defined humanity. Finally, he revealed the most critical piece of information: the Kireth's primary weakness. Their command network is centralized. If disrupted at the core, the entire system falters. It's vulnerable to precise, unconventional tactics. That is what I observed and documented. And that is how we can prevent further attacks. Queen Lysera's eyes widened. She had expected valuable intelligence, yes, but not this level of insight. The human had not only survived the impossible mission, but had also uncovered vulnerabilities her most trusted commanders had overlooked. You have done what even the most experienced Varelians could not, she whispered almost to herself. Then, raising her voice to address the court, she declared, "Let it be known. Captain Marcus Hale, a human soldier, has succeeded where countless others have failed. His courage, intelligence, and ingenuity are unmatched. Today humanity has earned respect across the stars." A stunned silence fell over the room. Then, one by one, the Varelian dignitaries and generals began to applaud. The sound was cautious at first, but it grew louder, filled with admiration and awe. Marcus, ever humble, nodded slightly. He did not seek glory, he sought results. Yet the recognition, especially from Queen Lysera, felt both rewarding and affirming. The queen stepped down from her throne, walking toward Marcus. "Captain Hale," she said, her voice softer now, carrying genuine respect, "you have changed my perception of your species. Humans are unpredictable, yes, but in ways that inspire confidence rather than fear. You have reminded us that intelligence is not only in technology, but in creativity, courage, and adaptability." Marcus bowed slightly. "Thank you, Your Majesty. Humans rely on observation and action. We thrive in situations others consider hopeless. That is what we bring to the universe." Lysera studied him for a moment, her eyes narrowing thoughtfully. Then she smiled faintly. "You have earned not only the respect of the court, but also my personal admiration. Few have ever achieved what you have." Riala, standing nearby, could hardly contain her amazement. "Captain, you truly are extraordinary. I have studied the Kireth for years, yet even I did not anticipate what you achieved. Humans, you are remarkable." Marcus shook his head with a small smile. "Remarkable, perhaps. But it is the willingness to act, to think differently, and to adapt. That is what matters most." Later, in the privacy of the Queen's chambers, Lysera reviewed the full report Marcus had compiled. Each diagram, each tactical analysis, and each observation demonstrated the power of human ingenuity. She realized that humans could do things aliens could not predict, things that defied the rigid patterns of advanced alien strategy. "This human has changed everything," she murmured, "not through strength alone, but through intellect and courage. Perhaps the galaxy has underestimated humanity for far too long." Marcus, sitting quietly across from her, nodded. "Underestimating humans is always a mistake, Your Majesty. We thrive when the odds are against us. That is our nature." Lysera's expression softened. "Indeed. And you, Captain, have shown that nature in full measure. I am impressed and perhaps inspired." Outside the chambers, the palace buzzed with news of Marcus's success. Word spread quickly. A single human had infiltrated the Kireth stronghold, gathered critical intelligence, and returned without loss. Varelians began to rethink their assumptions about humans. No longer were they a primitive species. They were unpredictable, capable, and clever beyond expectation. The Queen, sitting alone for a moment, considered the broader implications. If humans were this resourceful, this capable of adaptation and innovation, then they were an asset, a potential ally unlike any other. She made a mental note to involve Marcus in future strategic planning. Humans, she realized, could become an integral part of interstellar diplomacy and defense. As evening fell over the crystalline city, Marcus walked through the palace corridors with Riala. The two were silent, both reflecting on what had just occurred. Riala finally spoke. "Captain, I have never seen anything like your approach. You didn't rely solely on technology nor brute force. You used creativity, observation, and timing. Humans truly are extraordinary." Marcus shrugged modestly. "We do what we must. The universe does not wait for perfection or privilege. It rewards those who act with intelligence and courage. Riala smiled. I think the Queen is right. You have changed how we see humans forever. Marcus glanced toward the horizon, the twin suns casting long shadows over the city. Perhaps, but one mission does not define a species. It is what humans continue to do consistently under pressure that will prove our true worth. That night, Queen Lysera stood on a balcony overlooking the city. She watched the sun's golden rays reflect off the crystal spires. Her mind was alive with thoughts of strategy, diplomacy, and the human soldier who had so unexpectedly impressed her. He is extraordinary, she whispered. And perhaps, just perhaps, humans will be the allies we never realized we needed. In the quiet corridors of the palace, Marcus prepared for rest. He knew the danger was not over. New challenges, new enemies, and new missions would arise, yet he felt a quiet satisfaction. Humanity had proven its worth once more, not through sheer power alone, but through ingenuity, courage, and the ability to surprise even the most advanced civilizations. The ripple of his success would echo across the galaxy. And somewhere deep in the mind of the Kireth, alarms were blaring, not just from Marcus's infiltration, but from the realization that humans could never be underestimated. The big surprise was complete. Humanity had claimed respect. The alien queen had witnessed it firsthand. The palace of Veralia had never been so alive. Word of Captain Marcus Hale's success against the Kireth faction had spread like wildfire across the city and into neighboring star systems. Humans, once considered unpredictable and primitive, were now being studied with a mixture of curiosity, admiration, and cautious respect. Queen Lysera stood in the center of the throne room, observing the assembly of Verelian leaders and diplomats. Today was not just about celebrating a victory, it was about acknowledging a turning point. Humans had proven their ingenuity, courage, and ability to act where others would fail. Marcus Hale, standing near the entrance, remained calm, as if the attention of the entire court were merely a background hum. Lysera addressed the crowd, her voice both commanding and thoughtful. The actions of Captain Marcus Hale have proven that humanity is a force unlike any we have encountered. Not through sheer power alone, nor through advanced technology, but through creativity, intelligence, and adaptability, humans have achieved what Verelian teams deemed impossible. Today we recognize a new era, one in which cooperation, trust, and respect between species is not just desired, but necessary. A murmur of approval passed through the crowd. Some nobles exchanged glances, still struggling to reconcile their previous assumptions with the new reality. Others nodded, quietly admitting that humans had earned their respect. Marcus watched the reactions with quiet humility, understanding that this recognition was about more than personal glory. It was about humanity's potential. After the assembly, Lysera invited Marcus to her private chambers. The room was quiet, bathed in the soft glow of Verelia's twin suns reflecting off the crystal walls. Marcus remained standing as she approached, her expression serious yet warm. "Captain Hale," she said, her violet eyes meeting his. "You have done more than complete a mission. You have changed perceptions. You have reminded me and all who observe that humans, though underestimated, are capable of extraordinary accomplishments. Your courage, creativity, and adaptability are a testament to your species." Marcus bowed slightly. "Thank you, Your Majesty. Humans act when they must, think when others hesitate, and adapt when situations change. That is our nature. I only hope my actions will encourage others to see our potential." Lysera considered him for a moment, then smiled. "They already have, and I intend to ensure that this perspective shapes future alliances. Captain, I would like to offer you a position as an advisor on interstellar strategy and diplomacy. Your unique perspective, your understanding of both human and alien tactics will be invaluable." Marcus paused, a hint of surprise on his face. "An honor, Your Majesty, I accept. But I must warn you, I work best when given freedom to think and act. Human creativity thrives under trust, not restriction." The Queen nodded. "Then you shall have it. You will advise, yes, but also act independently when necessary. Your methods are unconventional, but they work. That is what matters." Meanwhile, the city of Verelia was preparing for a public celebration. Citizens curious about the human who had changed the fate of their star system gathered in the grand plazas. Holographic displays showed Marcus's actions against the Kyreth faction, illustrating how a single human soldier had infiltrated the enemy stronghold, gathered intelligence, and returned unscathed. As Marcus walked through the city with Riala and a small escort of Varelian officials, he observed the reactions around him. Some citizens stared in awe. Others whispered to one another, and a few simply shook their heads, still unable to comprehend how a human had accomplished so much. Yet everywhere he went, the respect was palpable. Humans, long underestimated, were finally being recognized as capable allies. Riala leaned toward him. "Captain, look at them. They see you not just as a soldier, but as a symbol. Proof that humans can change outcomes, inspire hope, and act where others cannot." Marcus smiled faintly. "It is not about me. It is about what humans represent. Adaptability, courage, and the willingness to take action when it matters most. If one human can achieve this, imagine what humanity can accomplish collectively." The crowd cheered as Marcus was led to a central platform, where the Queen addressed the citizens directly. "People of Virelia, today we witness the courage, creativity, and brilliance of a human soldier. Captain Marcus Hale has reminded us that strength is not only measured in technology or numbers, but in intelligence, adaptability, and courage under pressure. Let this day mark the beginning of a new era of cooperation and mutual respect between our species." The ceremony continued with the formal recognition of Marcus's accomplishments. Gifts, honors, and commendations were bestowed, yet Marcus remained modest. For him, the achievement was not personal. It was about showing the galaxy what humanity could contribute. After the ceremony, Marcus met with Queen Lysera privately once more. She was contemplative, considering not only his achievements but the broader implications for interstellar relations. "You have shown that humans can be trusted allies, capable of extraordinary feats when underestimated," she said. "I want to extend an invitation. Future missions, strategic planning, and diplomacy. Your perspective will guide us in navigating the challenges ahead." "Will you accept?" Marcus nodded. "I will, Your Majesty. Humans are ready to work with others not just for victory, but to ensure the survival and prosperity of all species involved." Lysera smiled. "Good. Then we will move forward together. Your ingenuity, your courage, and your perspective will help shape a stronger, more united galaxy." In the weeks that followed, humans began to establish stronger diplomatic ties with Virelia and other allied species. Human strategies built on adaptability and creative problem-solving were incorporated into interstellar defense plans. Humans were no longer seen as unpredictable or primitive. They were recognized as valuable contributors, capable of turning the tide in even the most impossible situations. Marcus continued to serve as an advisor and operative, his missions showcasing the same qualities that had earned him recognition: courage, ingenuity, and the ability to act decisively under pressure. Each success reinforced the growing respect for humans across the galaxy, building trust and paving the way for new alliances. Riala, now a close colleague and ally, often remarked on the remarkable nature of human thinking. "Captain, humans see the world differently. You approach challenges not with fear or rigidity, but with adaptability and creativity. It is inspiring and frankly sometimes terrifying to those who rely only on logic." Marcus chuckled. "That is our strength. We are not bound by convention. We act when others hesitate, and we see solutions others overlook. That is why humans have survived, grown and thrived against odds far greater than these." As the sun set over the crystalline city, Queen Lysera stood once more on her balcony, gazing at the horizon. Her thoughts were filled with possibilities. Humans as allies, as contributors to strategy, as a species whose ingenuity could reshape interstellar politics. She reflected on the day Marcus Hale had returned from the Kyreth mission, the moment he had shown her firsthand that humans were not to be underestimated. "He has changed everything," she murmured, "not through force alone, but through creativity, courage, and intellect. Perhaps humans are exactly what this galaxy needs to face the challenges ahead." The final moments of the day were quiet, yet powerful. Marcus stood on a lower balcony, overlooking the city alongside Riala. The citizens, aware of his presence, waved and cheered, their respect evident. For the first time, humans were seen as equals in the eyes of Virelia and beyond, a turning point for interstellar relations. Riala turned to him, smiling. Captain, you've done more than survive a mission. You've inspired an entire planet. You've shown what humans can do when underestimated. This is history in the making. Marcus looked out at the city, calm but thoughtful. History is built by those who act when others doubt. Humans have always done that. Today we've proven it again. But the work is not done. There are more challenges, more threats, and more opportunities. That is the way of the universe. The twin suns of Veralia dipped below the horizon, casting golden light across the city's spires. The palace shimmered in the fading light, a symbol of progress, hope, and the beginning of a new era. Humanity had not only survived the test, it had thrived. In the quiet corridors of the palace, whispers of Marcus's accomplishments would ripple through generations. The humans' ingenuity, courage, and unpredictability had left an indelible mark on Veralia, and the galaxy had taken notice. Captain Marcus Hale, the human soldier who had caused a big surprise for the alien queen, had done more than complete a mission. He had paved the way for a new era, one of alliance, respect, and shared destiny among species. And as the stars shone above, it was clear. Humanity's place in the galaxy had been forever changed. The new era had begun.